Let's speak about boundaries and assertiveness because this is something we need to learn. We need to learn and practice phrases like, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. Please don't talk to me like that. Even just simply saying no, thank you without needing to explain yourself or justify it, or I'm not okay with this. These are important things that we need to say, and I actually recommend even practicing it regularly, if it's with yourself in the mirror or even with a friend. Because when we go into these very difficult moments and we feel pressure, it's very easy to say yes or no because there's a fear of judgment, there's a fear of rejection. And the thing is, judgment and rejection are very, very hard emotions to push past because back when we used to live in tribes, which is not too long ago compared to human evolution, when someone was rejected from a tribe, that literally meant death. And so it's often the reason why, when we go through moments of rejection or something that could create rejection, we fear it. So we say yes instead of no. And then bad situations happen. But key messages here is you do not need a reason to say no. Setting boundaries is right, it's not confrontation. And practice builds confidence. Just being assertive builds boundaries over time. Even if it's something small with friendships, if you feel pressured, in any sort of situation, even if it's another female friend, just practicing saying, no, I don't want to do that. Even if someone's pressuring you to go out and you don't want to, you can say, hey, no, I just want to have a night in. Practice saying no. Okay, so I'll bring up a very, very common example that I hear, that I've seen, that I've been through myself, which is struggling to say no, even when I really want to. And the biggest thing is, how do I stop feeling guilty about it? Because you were likely taught indirectly or directly or indirectly that saying no in a family environment was selfish, rude, or difficult. Many of us get taught that very, 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 very long ago. But that's not the truth. That's what we call conditioning. Saying no is not an attack on someone else, it's an act of self respect. But we need to start small and practice saying no in low stakes situations that build up muscle. And guilt, this is something that will show up, but it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means that you're unlearning it. Most of us, especially women, are conditioned to say yes. As we were saying before, we're conditioned to not trust our gut. So, how do we build up ourselves to be able to say no, to be able to trust our gut, is in very, very small situations. Even just practicing in the mirror, it seems really, really stupid, but super simple and it works. Because when we're looking at building up our own inner boundaries or setting boundaries with other people, we need to start small. Think of it like a plate of food. If you have a plate of food, do you try to eat it all at once? No, you take small bites. And it's the same thing with building these boundaries. Small steps, small bites. Okay, so another one I think is very, very important for women to know, for everyone to know, is how do I set boundaries without seeming rude or aggressive? So, boundaries are how you say it, or whether you say it or not, they're boundaries. You can be firm, but you can also be kind at the same time. So, for example, thanks for letting me know, thanks for checking in, but I'm not available right now. I'm not available to talk right now. That's a very simple one that we can do with a friend. Just saying, hey, sorry, I don't have room right now. Or saying something like, yep, okay, thanks for giving your opinion, but I see differently. Saying we don't have to agree with someone or say yes to something, but saying I see it differently. These are just small little ways to build up our inner boundaries so we can set external boundaries without having the guilt. I want to go into your question, Mary. So, how can I set boundaries in a way that doesn't escalate the situation or make it worse? So, first one, we need to assess the situation and what's happening and why we need to set boundaries. And then we need to approach it in a way that is stern but also kind. So, if we're setting boundaries in a workplace, we need to say it in a way that's we need to acknowledge the behavior. So, for instance, one of the most normal things that people do is when you're setting boundaries at people at work is a good example. You can have a man making, sexual comments, really rude comments, or just being playful. The first thing is to acknowledge the behavior and not go in an attackful way. Because when we approach with, like, let's say an attack, like you did this, you said this, we're going to get an attack back. We want to approach the situation. So let's say there's a male who has made a comment, a sexual comment about you, and he's joking. You can say, hey, I understand you're being humorous, or hey, I can understand that's a joke, but when you say things like that, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Stern but kind, acknowledging their action and not saying, you know, like get away or anything like that, because they can't go into a victim stage and then saying, don't do that. When we're wanting to approach any situation and set boundaries, we want to first approach with something that's kind and then stern, and always think of it in that order. I hope that makes sense. If there's a situation you want to speak about or bring up, I'm more than happy to help with some information on what to do with it. Okay, awesome. And then thank you. Thank you, everyone, for these questions. And I just really welcome more questions. Remember that this is a safe space where you can be open, you can speak openly, and I'm happy to hold you here. We're actually launching a few services soon where we're going to be able to help with tracking, help with communication. If anything happens to a woman, they can have a little dial which will alert authorities, or they can talk to someone for support as well. It's something that we're looking into the future because honestly, the thing that we need these days is speed.